Hello again, this is Dr. Christian Heim, and I'm continuing to answer questions put to me by university students, and I hope you're going okay during these tough times, because they are very tough. Okay, so we have a yellow question, a very sobering yellow question. Why are male suicide rates higher than females? This is a very important question, particularly during these times when our feel-good chemicals are going down, which is opening the door to depression and these sort of thoughts. First of all, I've got to let you know that studies show that over 90% of people will have suicidal thoughts during their lives. And you're not alone. I've had them. Most everybody that I talk to on a deep level has them. So the thoughts themselves are nothing to be afraid of. However, why is it that male suicide rates are higher than female suicide rates? And as a psychiatrist, I have to let you know that that is not only true, but very true. In our society, the rate is about 3 or 4 times higher for males than females. In Eastern European countries, the rates can be 10 times higher for males than females. It's when we get to some Asian countries that the rates are perhaps 2 or 3 times higher for males than females. And occasionally you will see some reports that say they're almost the same, but it's a pretty robust finding that male suicide rates are higher. All right, so why is that? I'm going to be really honest with you. All right, I'm not going to give you any bullshit. I've got to give you the science. Now, science deals with the way things are. It makes no judgment about how things should be, but it sort of says, hey, here are the theories, here are the facts. We've got to look at them. So that's what I'm going to do now. And I'm going to give you 3 categories that I'm going to look at this. And a lot of psychiatrists look at things in these 3 categories: biological reasons, psychological reasons, and sociological reasons for a high rate of male suicide. I do have to let you know, however, that females attempt suicide at higher rates than males, sometimes 3 times as high. And that's another complex area that I'll talk about another time. The one biological reason is testosterone. At any given time, a male body produces about 20 times the testosterone than a female body. And free testosterone, what's actually flowing around in the blood in any given time, is about 7 or 8 times higher in a male body than a female body. What difference does that make? Well, testosterone does a lot for making males male. Male physical characteristics, a deeper voice, a stronger bone structure, more angular features. These are all the result of testosterone. And there are other things like higher red blood cell count, a faster metabolism, and things like that. But what does testosterone do? It drives sex drive in both sexes, although it's a bit more complex in females, and it also drives externalizing behavior. So things that are outer, aggression. That does not mean that being male means being aggressive. It means if we look at a choice between the two, right, over the years it's been males that have gone to war. All right, let's look at some psychological reasons. And this grows out of having a male body and a male brain. There are a few very subtle differences between male and female bodies, but they're significant. Intelligence-wise, male and female brains are the same. Females tend to be more verbal than males, and people say, oh yeah, well that's no big surprise. And that may reflect their role in keeping relationships together. The male brain tends to be more specialized towards spatial considerations, and that may reflect the male role in hunting. And we've got a lot of evidence that that's how our societies worked for various reasons. But having spatial considerations means that the male brain is also specialized to see things as a problem to be solved. It's like you survey the landscape of a problem before you come to a solution. And again, I have to say, That does not mean that males are not verbal. They can talk. Females can solve problems, but there's a little difference in tendency. And what happens is when a male ends up very depressed or in a very difficult situation, they want out of that situation. They want that problem solved. And killing yourself, as you can appreciate, is a very aggressive act, but it does away with the problem. Whereas females, being more verbal, are able to reach out a bit more. Which brings me to the third sociological reasons for a higher male suicide rate. We have a society that has been shaped in the last 100 years by some horrific wars. And what this means is that the people who need to go and fight in these wars have to suppress emotions, have to push them down, have to be stoic, have to be seen to be courageous and strong. Which means that stoicism is kind of the rule for males, and it has become a stereotype, if you like, that men don't do emotions. Big boys don't cry. So that means that instead of solving the problem of emotions, men tend to push emotions down, where they fester with other bad emotions, and then they come out in an aggressive act that could be suicide. We're also getting a subtle message that there's something wrong with being male, and there isn't. Yes, males complete suicide more, they kill other people more, they are the victim of violent crime more, but this is only at the extremes. We're talking about a very, very small percentage of males that actually carry these things out in the extreme. So that's actually important to know. So the way out of this would actually be for males to see the problem of emotions as something to be solved and to engage with that. And that starts to bring hope. That starts to bring growth to say, okay, I've got these strong emotions. What am I going to do about it? How can I see my way through it? How can I embrace my strength, my courage as a male to become productive, useful, and mature in handling some strong emotions? And that's a whole topic in itself. I want to keep this to talking about why male suicide rates are high. And that's basically, according to science, the evidence that we have. Thanks really much for so much for your question, okay? I hope that helps. Another yellow question. All right. What if you know deep down that you're at risk of suicide, particularly if you don't achieve the success in life that you desire? Okay, very good. I can see these have been kind of put together because now we're looking at the risk factors for suicide. And the risk factors for suicide are all the risk factors for depression, but there are a few particularly for males. You see, males, when they get into problems, they're less likely to talk to somebody else about them. Females, because they're more verbal, more relational, they'll go, I need help. I need to talk to somebody about it. And they will talk to a friend, a relative, a doctor. It's a bit more complex for males. So the first thing is, need to talk to somebody about it. So that's a risk factor. Here, we're talking about a very specific risk factor in society. The pressure on all of us to succeed is enormous. And we define success in really small terms. Basically, success is money and fame. And in this time of a viral crisis, I want you to look to your values and see, are they the things that I actually value in life? Are there other things that can actually help see me through for a good, happy life? I'm actually going to give you some suggestions as to some of the things that you could value. Happiness. Value joy. Value having fun, pleasure, and long-term fulfillment. Because when you see those as your values, then you'll actually see that fame and money don't actually give you those. They contribute a little bit, but there are other things. People, relationships, family, pets, love, anything that increases your dopamine, your oxytocin, your serotonin, and your endorphins. Laughing, you do that with people. Feeling calm and good about yourself, you do that when you're accepted by people. Oxytocin, you get more of that when you're sharing hugs, trust, and love. And dopamine is the pleasure we get primarily from people. These values are good for all of our survival. And we used to work so that we can enjoy all of these things. Now, it's like we shove all these things aside, people, pets, so that we can work to get fame and success. And here's the problem. You are never going to get enough fame. You are never going to get enough success. It is always going to disappoint. Whereas when you're in a relationship with somebody, and I don't mean a personal relationship, but a family or a friend, or you're sharing with the people around you and you feel part of it, your dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins are flowing, and you can actually be happy. I hope you can find some of that as you rearrange some of your values during this viral crisis. This has been Dr. Christian Heim, and I'll talk to you next time. Thank you so much for the questions.